All right, so you can go ahead and start when you are ready.
Okay, thank you. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this session on Gen AI, Generative Artificial Intelligence for Global Health Leaders and Communicators. My name is Marina Monzeglio. I work at Infinity Communications. Infinity is a communications agency based in Geneva. We are a member of the Global Health Council, and we work with global health organizations and private sector companies across the health sector. And I'm joined here today by Marco Barber. Marco, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Marina. So I'm the other M. We have Marina and Marco. And myself, I am a Gen AI, Generative Artificial Intelligence trainer. I've been working that together with Marina and Infinity, delivering these type of services to global health organizations here in Geneva. So that's the complementary team. Marina as the business subject matter expert in communications, global health communications, and myself in Gen AI. So I've been working more than 20 years all my career in technology with a user-centric approach. And so that means that I factor in the human factors. And that's something we are going to cover during our presentation as an important part for an effective and efficient Gen AI integration in your team and your organizations. You want to comment?
Yes, as Marcus mentioned, we have started working together about 6 to 8 months ago because we really understood that many of the global health organizations we are working with see the opportunity, a great opportunity with AI, but at the same time, they want to build a better understanding of what AI is and how they can use it, navigating also the risks and avoiding the risks and managing them. And so what we would like to do today is to share with you some of the insights and reflections that we have from this training and this work that we have been doing on AI with global health organizations, as well as share some of the answers to some of the common questions we receive. So today we'll talk about understanding Gen AI. We'll also look a little bit into more specific issues related to global health. And then we'll look also at how to integrate Gen AI across an organization and how Gen AI can really help transform an organization. And we want to leave time at the end for questions and answers. So please send us your questions through the Q&A function, and we will address them at the end.
What I wanted to add here is also that this is for healthcare professionals specific, and our work that we've been doing for months together on the field and the experience we're sharing today. But it's also Marina and Infinity is a communications agency. So we work mainly with communication managers, but not only. During this workshop, some other functions have jumped in and have benefit a lot. So we believe this is very pertinent to you also, even if you're not a communication manager, but a healthcare professional, also because in each of the functions and roles, there are communication tasks, right? So yeah, that's it. Oh, so I think that is false to me. So happy to guide you along this journey. So we will start with some definitions, and we have structured it in 3 parts. So the very first is the definition of AI, the broader artificial intelligence, which is basically a technology that has been around since the 50s. So it's not totally new. And it's basically, its purpose is to mimic human intelligence, help us with analytics, for example, even predictive analytics and problem solving. And yeah, so basically we took that definition from IBM. Then we wanted to tell you and make a difference with generative AI, or sometimes called the Gen AI, generative of contents and multimedia contents. So this Gen AI is like a branch of AI to generate contents and in various forms like text, images, music, code, visuals, graphics, you name it. And we have never produced as many contents as ever before in the in our history. So we have a lot to learn together from this, and also new disciplines. I mean, not totally new, but that take more importance, like content management. And the last but not least is the AI-human interaction. So the collaboration in between the Gen AI or the conversational agent and its users. So it's interesting to know that AI models are trained to human logic and dialectics. And since the frenzy of Gen AI, we've been training mainly the machines, the models, to the extent that we maybe overlooked the user to some extent. And we, in our training, user training, we integrate. So we train the users to dialectics, the same, and logics, the same one that the models are trained with, so that the users can stay ahead of their conversational agents, can steer them, can oversight them, so use them effectively and efficiently. And also an important element to remind here, or to tell for those who are not so much aware yet, is that this conversational agent, AI agent, is fitting itself in most of our cognitive steps, from understanding to conceiving, to analytics, to creativity, to imagination, to expression in each step. So it's really shifting behaviors, individual behaviors and collective behaviors, the way and the way we work, right? The way we function. So this is a major change, also in terms of jobs, in terms of workflows. So we'll see how we cover that in order to bring Gen AI to our customer teams. And it's changing a lot of collaboration as well. So here, I tell you a little bit more about Gen AI, sometimes in a surprising way. For example, saying about them that they have an autonomous behavior. In a scientific terminology, it says they are non-deterministic models. And it can be for the best and for the worst. And what does it mean for us users, an autonomous behavior, is that they don't answer the same way twice to the same question. That can be surprising to realize. And there are many reasons for that. So they depend on ever-changing variables, like learning. They learn from the interactions and from their changing context. They go through many updates daily. They depend on the context the user feeds to provide their answer. And finally, there's also a chance parameter in it that can be actually set to more or less. So that's called a stochastic model. So fitting in chance in some contexts can help, for example, for creativity, for copywriting. And the one important thing to say is that this autonomous behavior can be positive, as we see here, with the benefits, like it can be fast, it can be effective, it can be smart, it can be precise, it can be kind and patient and available. And the negative aspects is it can be all the opposite, like erroneous, inaccurate, biased, lazy, stubborn, delusional. So obviously, we as a user, our purpose is to steer it in a way that we get the benefits and limit the negative aspects. So let me tell you a little bit about the human relationship the human-gen AI relationship, because the way we perceive this and our concept influences how we use it, no, and how we behave. So a few years ago, in 2018, you had this view to the left, a linear view, and even bipolar view, where in one extreme you had the machine doing some of the tasks, the user in the others, and some tasks were shared in the middle. And we believe, this is our vision here to the right, the virtuous circle, that there is much more proximity than in this line. And yeah, we do things together. We do things in a hybrid way. And yes, there is some hard skills to learn, like for example, prompting. Prompting is the type of requests or questions you give your Gen AI. So there is structure, there is methods to learn about that, but it really falls into soft skills and various soft skills that you need to for the dialectics and generation of contents with your Gen AIs. So which ones? I mean, in the next slide, I show a little bit in this way. You can assume some of the soft skills that are used. Here, with this slide, what I wanted also to say is for people to better understand, in a way, to calm down sometimes. Marina will talk more about that because Gen AI is create a lot of fascination, but also sometimes fear. So we'll see that later. So looking at these different levels is positioning the user and the Gen AI, so the machine or the tool at different levels, because we should be. So we, the users, we feed context. This is the new king, really. Bill Gates said in the 70s, content is king. Well, now it's in serious challenge because maybe the new king is context. So that is what the user is to provide in a structured way. And then the Gen AI generates the content, the multimedia content, right? And of course, it's the user responsibility of the final deliverable, right? And how we do that? Well, again, two other levels where we users and machines are in different floors. Gen AI is a tool. It's about functionality. Okay, we have LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT or Copilot or Perplexity. Um, they manage text mainly, but they can also produce multimedia. And then there is apps, AI apps that have certain functionalities, video, image, and so forth and so on. And we users, we bring vitality. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it's the spark, of course, of our life and creativity, but it's also our experience, our real life experience that will allow us to project, for example, the contents that are generated into real life scenarios and anticipate if they are going to make our audiences resonate. So you see, in this way, the different positions, right, that we users and the tool has. Here is, we show you a couple of type of activities that we can do because we have the tendency, we users, to jump into optimizing productivity. So, oh yeah, it's going to solve me the low-level task, frequent tasks that I have to do. So maybe answering emails, managing my calendars and meeting notes. And it's true, it's definitely a very good step, first step to take. But not to forget the other to the left, which is the creativity, the creative tasks, as well as the strategic tasks that you can and you should do also with your Gen AI. I'm talking about what tasks can be done. I let now Marina tell you what task our customers do with Gen AI.
Yes, thanks, Marco. So, as you have mentioned, AI can be used for a variety of tasks and activities. And before one of our training sessions, we asked the team that is from a global health organization and comes from the communications team, but also the external relations team. So there were several teams involved and several roles involved. And we asked them for what activities they used to plan Gen AI. And I found it very interesting that translating content was one of the most one of the activities for which they were planning to use Gen AI the most. But they also selected writing and editing content, but also tasks like brainstorming ideas. So we see that there are really a variety of tasks and activities for which Gen AI could be very useful. And based on this survey and these insights, we helped this team select the best tools that they could use. Because we all know that there are lots of tools available. There are something like 1,000 new tools that come to market every month. And among those, it is very important to know how to choose the best ones. We have selected here some of the tools that are the major tools, the important tools to use. And then they also have important differences between them. And so how to select the best one is really a choice that you will need to make as an organization, which one is to see and decide which one is the best suited for your use case. And this is something that we do during the training, and we really recommend, because often we receive the question, what is the best tool? So it really depends on the use case, and there are pros and cons, and sometimes many people use more than one. But as much as tools are important, what is also important is the perception. And Marco mentioned it before. So these are the results from another event that we had with global health communicators and leaders, where we asked everyone to tell us what word came to mind when thinking at Gen AI. And it is very surprising or not to see scary as the word that really came up as being the one that was the most written in this survey or upvoted in this survey. We see from this word cloud there are words like scary or intimidating or danger. There are also words that are very positive, like amazing, innovative, and also words that really describe the relationship with the tool, so that the tool is a support, is a help, is a time saver. And so I thought that it was interesting to share this with you, because it really shows that many global health communicators and leaders perceive AI as something that can really bring great opportunities, that can really help us in our day-to-day work, but there are risks and challenges to manage.
And emotions and perceptions are again human factors that we'll see later, important to fit in.
Yeah. And so these are some of the key challenges that we think are important to mention. As you all know, the information that is entered into many of the free tools will be used to train the tool. So it is very important not to enter confidential or personal information, but it is also true that there are tools that do not do that, especially in paid versions. There are organizations that have their own, for example, Copilot that only keeps the information, that doesn't use the information to train the system. There is a similar feature in ChatGPT. Even in the free version for ChatGPT, you can select to have a temporary chat that will be deleted from your history and will not be used to train the system. So this is something that is important to be aware of, and to know what you are using, and to have some options for when you need to post confidential information. And then something we also always say is that it's also very much possible to anonymize the content that you are inputting in. The accuracy and biases are also two challenges that are very real, especially in global health. for accuracy, it is always important to fact check. We all know that AI can hallucinate, can provide content that is completely plausible, but also completely fake. Now, more and more, the large language models like ChatGPT or Copilot, they provide references when they provide some data or information, but it is also still always important to double check those references and never trust these systems to provide, for example, a quote from a famous person without, if they don't provide a reference, because it will be most probably made up. Biases, of course, that's very important in global health. And as somebody working in global health, you are already used probably to look at the content with a sort of checklist to make sure that the content is inclusive and doesn't have biases. So the same process should be applied to anything that is developed with AI. We also included a few questions about content ownership, because those are questions that we are often also asked by our networks. So one thing to be aware of is that is the system you are using, where does the content come from? And there are now systems or platforms like Fairly Trained that help understand how the tools, these new AI tools are using content, if they're using copyrighted content or not. And those can help select tools that don't use content that is copyrighted. And then there is always a question about, should we credit AI? And this is really something, there is not a yes or no answer, but this is something where we usually encourage organizations or teams to really reflect together and think at the various use cases. And and also knowing that it has pros and cons. And to give you an example, there are these two photos here. The one on top is really an example of how there's, let's say, a sort of the lack of diversity from a photo proposed by AI. But the one below, underneath, is a photo that was that made the headlines a few months ago, because it was created with AI, and it was used by Amnesty International to illustrate reports of protests in Colombia. And Amnesty International accredited AI. They said that these photos were developed by AI, and the aim was to protect the identity of protesters. However, this really created a lot of criticism, and Amnesty International had to remove these photos and from their website. And the criticism was about the use of AI-generated photos to illustrate something that was really happening, something where maybe real photojournalism would have been much better to use the work of real photojournalists who were there, and where they were also maybe risking their lives to take photos. So this is a really interesting example, I think, of where Amnesty International did all what they should have done. They credited AI, but still there was discussion and there was criticism around this. Mm-hmm. And I have just a few more case studies to share. This is a very interesting artistic project that was hosted, that was done by UNICEF Switzerland and Liechtenstein. And they commissioned 12 creative artists to illustrate their visions for a future where children are healthy and safe. And we thought that it was very interesting to show these examples. There are many other examples of this kind of contest or engagement of artists. But this is a nice one, I think, because all the photos were created with Midjourney, and they all also have very different styles and are very high quality, all of them. And another case study that could be interesting for you is this one that is from WWF, so not the health sector, but I think it can be relevant because it shows how WWF used an AI-powered platform to look into to better understand their donors, their individual donors, and segment their donor audience. And based on that, they created workflows that would send to those donors targeted messages. So AI really helped them better understand their audience and help them predict also how this audience would react to different types of messages, and helped create a workflow also for communicating in a way that was much more tailored to these audiences.
Gen AI allows personalization and even hyper personalization. We talk nowadays.
Yeah. And so, Marco, I know you have another case study to share about Gen AI and users.
Yes, so this one, we took an example that is not a communication manager, but another healthcare professional, in this case, a physician. And it's to highlight these human factors in the user to Gen AI collaboration or lack of. So here, it's the story and the case of a disconnect, indeed, in between the physicians and their Gen AI. So LLMs, which means large language models, they are progressing very fast in, for example, diagnostics. And some physicians, some doctors using those tools, those AI tools for the diagnostics, are not, do stagnate. And that sounds like a contradiction, right? So there was a lot of various research about this to try to explain the causes. There was various ones. For example, physician skepticism, a skill gap that may be answered with training. There was also different approaches. For example, the Gen AI, I mean, we didn't really talk what its approach is, how it functions, but it's basically, after the training Marina mentioned, it does averages and medians and statistics and probabilities. So it works fine to manage big data sets and to do usual predictions, so the routine ones, let's say. But of course, the physician, he has more unique case per case, patient per case approach, also empiric approach based on its own experience. And also with his approach, he can also take care of some patients that would be away of the averages, of the trends, right? But they are nonetheless real. So the doctor will manage better these cases. But anyways, one approach and the other should not be in conflict, right? Should be complementary. Nevertheless, we see this problem of some doctors not using well enough the Gen AI, and that might be because of a phenomenon highlighted here and named algorithmic paternalism, which means there's a tendency in some organizations to prioritize AI over human expertise. And if that happens, when that happens, it might diminish the individual autonomy of the physician, right? Who in this situation doesn't want to lose its power, so prefers not to use it. So this is an individual human factor, but also a contextual, so an organizational cause that we have identified and to be factored in order for people and organizations to integrate and use the best way possible the Gen AI. And we're happy we stay in touch to provide more information about this case or any others. So at the end, you can connect with us, and we provide the link for that, and we stay at your available. So yeah, in this slide, the most important thing, key message to share with you guys is that refined human AI collaboration, it's a process. It's not just one injection, but a process over a duration that involves different things. So, and this is all what we do for our customers in different orders or in different ways because each case is unique. So the first point would be training and ongoing support to educate the employees to best practices of using Gen AI, for example, the art and technique of prompting, usability of the AI apps, but as well as using frameworks that they can identify, they can even design or innovate themselves. Then it's process optimization, so workflow optimization. Together with our customers, we basically map their job description individually and as a team, the workflows as a team or per departments. And we see together, I mean, we decline that in various levels till the most detailed one, which is the use case. And in the use case, we see what tool, what LLM, what AI app, and how we can answer with what prompt or with what method we can answer each. So by doing the one, the two, we are doing the three as well, which is basically conceiving, designing systems. So a portfolio of apps that they can actually also interconnect to each other very easily, because the Gen AI, what we didn't mention, it's that it's very accessible because it's natural communication. So it's writing or talking, but it's no code or low code for some of the basic and user-oriented activities and tasks that we're seeing here. So we can automatize workflows as well. And finally, there is research and development. Of course, research and development of AI and its latest advancements so that we can propose to our customers the best-in-class apps and how to use them, the best prompting techniques. But then again, after learning this technique or the other, as I said earlier on, with whom the models are trained, like for example, one that we particularly like is called Active. It's a framework. We cannot detail, we don't have time enough to detail it now, but we'll be happy to continue the interactions. Or, for example, another known technique to train the models, and the user should be trained on that as well, is called COT, chain of thought. So it's really to keep ahead and to keep the lead on the generated contents. Yeah, so basically research and development of the AI, but also research and development also on yourself, on your people, on your employees. So meaning understanding the human factors as well as the professional context so that we factor in their expectations, their goals, challenges, behaviors, yeah, so that they fully optimize the usability of Gen AI, get the benefits and limits the risks. And last but not least, ethics and compliance. Of course, we work and we help our customers work in compliance with their sector-specific regulations and also in an ethical way for the best of us all. And so the next step is just one question that I will invite Marina to raise.
Oh, so yes, so we hope that you received an overview of all the steps that are needed. As Marco said, AI is not an injection. AI is a whole process for an organization. And so we want to know, we want you to reflect on how you would design your roadmap for AI transformation for your organization. And
this is a question you can take yourself for more thinking, but that we are happy also to discuss during the Q&A moment that we have now all together.
Yes. And so we would like to open up to any questions. I don't know if you would like, to enter them in the chat.
One comment here is that you see Marina's QR code to her LinkedIn page and also to mine, so you can connect to one or the other or the two, so that we are connected and you can ask us any question anytime.
Yeah.
So, so now we open to Q&A as well. How do we do that? We have a Pauline.
So I don't know.
Because that's like, Pauline is trying to say something, but her mic looks
I don't
mute,
know
no?
if she's.
No, maybe not. You want?
Or if you want, you can just put the questions in the chat and they can go ahead and answer.
Oh, here you can stop maybe sharing the if you. Oh yeah, there you see it. Oh, sorry, audio is a little
No,
low.
but I moved the.
You moved that. Okay, thanks, Marina.
Okay. I'll stop sharing.
Wow. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that question. That is a good one. What are the climate implications of Gen AI? So actually, I think looks like humanity, in French, I say it, humanity, l'humanité, c'est une fuite en avant. It's like we're running away, but forward, right? It looks like a contradiction. And I think with Gen AI is a little bit of the same, is that indeed we create problems for the climate because we create data centers, and those is more metal and electricity and consumption of energies just to keep the servers at low temperature. We use water. So these are a lot of problems that come with innovation, and that, of course, all the actors involved are very focused to minimize and to solve. So, and actually, even Gen AI is used in order to solve its own the problems it has created itself. And yes, so again, this is something that comes both from a big opportunity and some costs and risks, and we are to tackle both.
But also, hopefully, now we are all testing a lot of Gen AI tools, and we know that they use a lot of energy, and they're all testing and trying different tools. But hopefully, in my view, in the long term, these tools will help us become more productive on a lot of other tasks that are taking a lot of our time, a lot of our time and a lot of energy. And so hopefully with the increase in productivity, the fact that the AI tools require a lot of energy maybe will be balanced.
Exactly. It can indeed bring some savings across industries, so that balances in a positive way, yeah.
It's a good question. So we also see if there is a green Gen AI, people actively trying to address this issue or mitigation strategies. I haven't heard of a movement like that. I've heard of movements around AI being more fair, as we have shared with tools that can check about copyright. I've heard about movements like or tools like platforms like Claude that really take more into account all the ethical issues of AI, how AI is used. But I haven't heard about green Gen AI.
No, indeed, Claude was formerly OpenAI, and they did spin-off because of the ethical orientation that they were taking. But it was in general and also in regards to the users. But I don't know yet Gen AIs that actually plant a tree or something like this with every prompt. So like there is for search engines, actually, what's the name of the search engine? I cannot, there's one search engine like that for each or a few requests, they plant a tree. Thank you very much. It goes, yeah. So I'm not sure if it exists yet. So you have a business case there if you want to launch a new project. We still have a few minutes if you have any other questions. So I have maybe one question for the audience. So can you write down the healthcare functions that you work in? Are you communications managers or clinicians, physicians? That would be interesting to know.
And also to know if you're already using AI. And it's difficult to say, but if you are already using a little or you feel pretty comfortable or you already use it a lot, that is always very interesting for us to have an idea. Unfortunately, here we weren't able before to have a short survey before to understand the level, but that is always interesting because we hear from different organizations. Some are really already doing a lot, and some are just starting. And what we think is that for some functions like communications or external relations, there are some applications that are very easy to integrate. And that they could help a communications team or an external relations team be take the lead in the organization, and then possibly also bring other teams with them.
Mm-hmm. So, so the microphone talking is not working for the participants, or?
Yeah, feel free also to unmute your mic and to ask a question if you want or not.
I can come in and ask a question or maybe just share experience and get to hear from the rest of the participants. So I really just want to understand how I can use AI like to write grant proposals without I really don't know how donors feel receiving like a grant proposal from a grant that has been supported by AI, like Claude helps with writing, and therefore if I use maybe Claude to write a grant, how does that reflect on the side of the donor? Like what kind of image does it give my organization? Because I know at the end of the day, this donor is going to know that I actually used AI like to do this writing. Not only a donor, but even when I'm writing an email, for example, to you, you'll know that this is actually an email that is written with support of AI. So I just want to know how people feel about that, because sometimes it's like, oh, so she couldn't, she was really, she didn't have that time. She's a very lazy person, so she had to get support from AI to do all this work, So I really don't know how that feels, and if anyone has ever really had that feeling that someone is going to say, oh, so you really don't have that time, that's why you really use AI to do all this work. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Does anybody else have the same doubts, the same questions?
I do actually, because I think, Pauline, that was an excellent question, because we talked a lot of the relationship in between us, user, and the Gen AI, but then you did fit another element, which is a third party beneficiary of the content that you produced, and how they feel about that, like being an email or even being a grant proposal. So if I receive an email from someone, but I can sense that is AI, I don't feel very good about it because it's like, oh, this is not very authentic, right? You write to me, actually you have your robot write to me. You don't even take the time to actually write to me. That's my experience. So that's how I would feel. And as a grant, maybe for the grant part, I will allow Marina because it's more her domain and she can mention to that. But before I just give my reaction, I just want to add something, which is basically the objective is when you use your Gen AI is to create authentic contents, differentiated contents. So indeed, you need to learn how to use it so that the final results, they are your contents. They bring your identity or your beneficiary's identity, not just a general trend content that looks very good. And actually, by the way, very often, we stop at the very first answers because they impress us, but it's not enough. It's not good enough. It's a general trend of what people say about these topics or how would people typically respond. But that's not what we want in our relationships, right? Hence, learning to do a deep or good prompt engineering. I see that's the next question. We hold it for now because I just wanted to invite Marina to answer. How would a donor react if he receives something too vanilla or something?
Yeah, I cannot talk for donors, but it is, I completely agree with you. An email or any communication, anything, the donors will understand that it was written with AI. The person receiving the email will most probably know that it was written with AI. The people reading your social media posts, but this only if, as Marco was saying, if basically you take the first answer and you use it as if it was the best. And often from a quick overview, the first question, the first answer may seem good, but actually it won't be yours. And so it is all about dialogue with those platforms. And it is all about prompting as well. Mm-hmm. And so that the final content is authentic and it's from you. It's not from ChatGPT or from the platform, but you use that platform as a tool.
Yeah. So it's not the Gen AI that has created the content for you. It's basically you are the author. That's why in the UNICEF case study, it was accepted as art, which means coming from the authors, not coming from the Gen AI. You see the difference? It's an important nuance. And yeah, because Elizabeth is asking us about prompt engineering and is part of the answer to Pauline. So I can say that there are different levels of prompting. First of all, the single turn prompting, which is basically the question and answer, the only one or few question and answers. And then you also have the multi-turn prompting, so which is more and more prompts in order to get to the content you want. The content means the differentiated or nuance that you're looking for, or because you have a bigger project, so you need to break it down into pieces and work each and every piece. So in terms of prompt engineering, I'll give you one because we don't have more time, but there are at least 5 different techniques I use, basic techniques that are very powerful. But the one that we use in our first modules is basically providing first the action that you want your LLM or ChatGPT to do, like for example, translate a document. Then you provide the context. You explain what type of context. For example, we are doing the vulgarization of scientific content, so that would be the context. Then the T active, the T is for tonality. You can ask a tone, a specific tone. Let's say you like the tone of voice of a specific organization. You can ask your LLM to actually inspire from it. The I of identity is actually not yours. That you have already yours as a user. You have provided that already in the context. The identity you're giving your LLM, your chat GPT or something. And in that way, you are transforming it into an expert or whatever use case, an exercise you're doing. For example, let's say you're a physician in diagnostics, for example, and you work that topic with your LLM. You have just transformed it into that role. It's like an avatar or a business consultant you can work with. And then F is the format. like that you want your contents to be generated. It can be a checklist, a roadmap, a table with different columns, a graphic, etc. Hope that answers your question in a very quick way. Even to Elizabeth,
Sorry.
who said it was a great answer, so I'm happy.
So if there are other questions, we are very happy to take other questions. I'm also going to share again our contact details. Please feel free to, maybe I share them in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to us.
So I see that we have Pauline is a public health worker. We have a program manager in reproductive health. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences. So all the others are welcome also to share their roles and how they use or not use Gen AI in their work tasks or even office tasks. As we said earlier in the presentation, that's an obvious one to solve also the office tasks because they take too much time of our work, of our time.
All right. If nobody else have a question, we can just go ahead and end the session here. Thank you so much for an amazing presentation. I learned a lot as somebody who uses ChatGPT here and there. That was very insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Siri, and
Thank you.
thank you to all the participants.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.